On Central News tonight, there should be no concern about property developers buying the pensioner housing in Hamilton, the birthday celebration for the city, an anti-bullying concert, and the Cambridge Expressway. Kia ora, welcome to Central News for Tuesday the 21st of October. I'm Hilary Entwistle. Hamilton City Council voted 8-4 to go ahead with the proposal to sell the pensioner housing, causing some anxiety amongst the elderly residents. I spoke with Mayor Julie Hardacre to see if she had a message for them to alleviate their concerns.
And look, I've been really concerned about that. I think a bit of it is scaremongering and trying to upset people, and that upsets me. We've been working very closely with the tenants as we've worked through this process, and that's been a very, very important part of this, because these are their homes, and we want to make sure that they understand what's happening and also where they fit in this. So I'm concerned about that. So we've been on the ground. We've got wonderful staff who look after our pensioner housing, and they've been talking with them. We have sent information. We had a meeting with all of the tenants, and our intention is to work slowly through with them. So what does this mean for them? Well, of course, if the proposal is finally accepted by the council, and we'll know that in November after we've had our submissions, then if we sell them to a social housing provider, nothing changes. That's their home, and it's just a new landlord. If the properties are not purchased by a social housing provider, our current proposal says that we would then put them on the open market. You know, my assurance to all the tenants is that we would not put tenants out on the street, and I think it's very mean that some people are saying that, because that is certainly not what the council would do. You know, we care about our tenants. We've got some wonderful tenants. This is about, you know, the changing nature of our community, and about the changing way in which the council does its business and this service, and whether we should continue to do it. And they're good discussions to have. I've been talking to a few of our tenants, and some of them have got some really good views about the proposal, and others perhaps are quite concerned about what's going to happen. So yeah, we're going to look after people.
What if, and could it be, sold to a property developer?
Well, what we've said in our current proposal is if the social housing providers don't buy them all, then we would be putting them on the open market. So that's the current proposal. What I've said to people is, tell us what you think about that part of the proposal, because a lot of people I've talked to have said they think that the council should sell the pensioner housing, but they would want them to go to social housing providers. My personal view is that is what I would like as well. If we are going to sell them, that would be my preference as well. So I've said to people, tell us what you think about that part of the proposal, because I think that is quite an important issue for the council to get its head around.
Groups opposed have said it's nothing more than a revenue grabbing exercise.
Not at all. No, not at all. We run the pensioner housing on a cost neutral basis in terms of operating it, but that means we've got to put the rents up all the time. Currently the rents are around about 62% of a market rent, bearing in mind the council doesn't have access to the rental subsidies. So the ratepayer tops up the balance, if you know what I mean. So we run them at a cost neutral position, and so we continue to put the rents up to ensure we operate them quite fiscally prudent. Where the costs for the council come in is the maintenance and the renewals and the capital investment needed to maintain them as fit for purpose. So that's where the money side of it is. So there's no money grabbing here. This is just about looking at our service, the changing nature of our community, and the changing context in which the service is provided. You know, I've learnt an awful lot through this process, particularly when we worked up the discussion paper about the history of providing pensioner housing through local governments, and how that came about, and how in the past the government used to provide an awful lot of funding to provide this service, sort of an adjunct, I guess, to a government service. And of course that has vastly changed over the last few decades, and so have the needs of our community. What we know is that those most in need of lower rented housing accommodation are usually young mums. Yeah, so, you know, the society changes, communities change, and I think councils do have a responsibility to always be responding to the community.
How many houses and residents are we talking here?
368 units.
And whereabouts are these?
Look, they are around the city, but predominantly in the older areas of the city. So there's none in the new parts in the north, mostly around, you know, Dinsdale, Hamilton East, Claudelands, yeah. Chartwell's got some.
Submissions close on the 31st of October, so what's your advice to those who do have concerns?
If you want to have a say, get your submission in and look at the proposal carefully, because there are elements of it. First of all, should the council sell them? And then secondly, if they do, who should they sell them and how should they sell them? I think there's different elements of the proposal, and I hope that that's clear. We've produced a really handy summary of what the proposal is about, and the options paper and the discussions paper are all on the website, and I think it's really good to read those to get a bit of an understanding of the context and the sort of the information.
What have been some of those concerns then?
I think in terms of the proposal, well, people I'm talking to generally think it's a really good idea for the council to have this debate. Secondly, a lot of people think that social housing providers can do a better job. They provide the wraparound services, they've got access to the funding, but more importantly, they address the social dislocation that can often happen for people who live alone, and that was seen as quite important. But I think most of the people I've talked to are fairly in the box of social housing providers rather than the open market. One of the things for me that I'm interested to know is how do we grow the housing that is available in our community to meet the needs of our community? The council cannot do that. We are not in a position to be able to do that. So who can do that? And I would like to hear from those people. I really do want to hear what informed people and organisations have to say about this topic.
And can the council guarantee that it would be sold to social housing providers?
Well, so far, of course, we know that they've been talking about it, and they have been talking publicly about their interest in it. When we had the meetings with the social housing providers to develop the options paper, the social housing sector, and there was a large group of them that we invited, they did express interest in understanding what that would mean for them. And they are talking, as I understand, in the community about where they might have a role in this. So I think there's definitely interest. Some people have said, well, how will you guarantee it will remain in that service sector? So I use the example of Johnson Street. So the council sold the Johnson Street complex 2 or 3 years ago. We sold it to a joint venture between Habitat and Crosslight Trust. In that sale agreement, we required that they maintain social housing providers for that complex for 10 years, and there's a note on the title. So there are legal mechanisms that the council can use in the sale process to ensure that that service continues to be delivered, and I think that's an important part of it as well.
To make a submission, go to hamilton.gov.nz. Coming up next, plans for the 150th Hamilton birthday celebrations are well underway. Welcome back to Central News. Planning is well underway for Hamilton's 150th birthday celebrations, happening in the Hamilton CBD on November the 22nd. Anne-Marie spoke with Tracy Wood from the Hamilton City Council to find out what we can expect on November the 22nd.
They can expect a party. We are having a birthday party for the city. We're celebrating 150 years, and we're taking it as a birthday party that you would have with your family and friends.
So Victoria Street is going to be closed to traffic. Tell me, what time, what area?
Not only Victoria Street, in fact, most of the CBD is closed to traffic. So as well as Victoria, we have Alexandra Street closed, Carrow, Hood, Collingwood. So what's happening then is the whole area becomes a pedestrian focus, it becomes a party zone, and each area is broken up into precincts. So there's something different to do in every street.
Right, so what's happening where then?
Right, well, luckily we're going to make you a map so you can find your way around. But for example, in Civic Square, we've got the marketplace. So a lot of vintage collectibles and retro craft.
Very popular.
Exactly, at the moment. Photo booths so that people can have a record of their involvement on the day.
Who doesn't love a photo?
Everybody loves a photo. The other thing is that we are setting up a video booth and encouraging people to leave a message, a happy birthday message to Hamilton. We've got a children's zone where children are going to be working with Sport Waikato around participation in games. We've got a main stage, we've got sideshows, we've got music and fashion, and it goes on and on.
You have got a giant stage being built in Garden Place. What kind of entertainment?
Our focus there is around local, first and foremost. So our focus is around our local performers and acts. We've got everything from school groups who have adopted a decade. So we've gone to schools and said, choose a decade and do a performance that's associated with that decade. And so they will feature quite early in the program. We've got a children's group called Zoo Boogie. So look out, the zookeeper will be there with all the animals. And then we roll on into some rock and roll music, we've got dancing, we've got kapahaka, we've got everything you can think of happening on main stage. And as well as that, we have 2 other stages operating in the zone.
Now, the focus is on families for the whole event. What will they be able to see and do?
Because this is all about the people that live here. This is about the residents of Hamilton coming together and celebrating what is a significant occasion for our city, and doing it in a way that is welcoming and friendly into our CBD. This party involves our retailers, so they're invited to come and have stalls out on the street. So it's a giant market, it's a giant street party. It's something that we want everybody involved in. We've made it the phrase "something for everyone." I mean, it always sounds a bit silly, but in this instance, it really is. There's everything from animals to music to dance to food. Come and enjoy the day. Do as you would at a birthday party. Wear a hat. But we have a cake that's going to be cut, a huge birthday cake that will be cut on the day. We will sing happy birthday. We'll do those things that are part of the way that we celebrate.
And you're going to end that family zone time with a giant fireworks celebration.
We are. Like all good parties, we're going to go out with a bang. So there will be fireworks at 9 o'clock to end that family party from the river. So those fireworks will be visible, we hope, across the majority of the city. So it's a large-scale demonstration, and it should be visible to most people in the city, and it's a way of saying happy birthday, Hamilton.
For more information, go to hamilton150.co.nz. On Saturday, the 13th of December, there will be a concert held in Te Aroha that a young local has organised to create awareness around anti-bullying. I caught up with him recently to find out more.
Well, what me and the guys at Ivy Blue are up to is that we've been paying attention on social media and in the community and everything. I've annoyed Piaka Post about this many times, but bullying is a real issue in our community. It's not something that we can ignore. So we thought, well, we're not going to ignore it. Let's just do a concert thing and make it a benefit for Youthline, and hopefully that way, because we're trying to use music as something to bring people together, hopefully that way people might actually start addressing the issue a little more seriously than they are now.
Now, you mentioned music bringing people together, so who are your performers for the concert?
We have booked Sheldon Aiden, who's a magician. He's the only one that does not play an instrument. No, he's going to do some up-close street magic type stuff. I'm not going to give too much away, but he's in. We've got Alyssa Entwistle coming. She's of Montville College now, and she does acoustic guitar for alternative and country. And then obviously there's my bunch of guys that are going to try not to trash the whole Little Theatre.
And so Ivy Blue's your band.
Yep.
What kind of music do you play?
Well, we're really open to anything, although there's some music which we listen to with gritted teeth. But ideally we'll play anything. To be honest with you though, I do find the whole genre thing irrelevant. Because really genres are breaking the rules in different ways. You've got your country, they tend to play it safe. You've got your rock gods like Kiss and all. They break the rules, then there's us. We don't really know what we're doing.
Well, I hope you know what you're doing on the day, though.
Yep. That is if people actually vote for the set list, otherwise it's going to be us writing it up.
That's right. So you've got a campaign at the moment where fans can actually vote for what they want you to play on the day.
That is correct.
And now the concert is going to focus on anti-bullying. So why did you want to do that?
Well, it comes back into what we were saying about a minute ago. Bullying is a real problem. It's not a school's problem. It's not a community group's problem. It's not a problem between TV and all that, although it seems to have influence on Shortland Street lately. But more or less, it's a problem for you, I, the directors, the camera guys. It's everyone's problem. It's a community's problem. Unless we actually address it as a community, then it's not getting any better, and we're just going to keep going to a point where we've had nearly double the numbers in suicides from bullying, which has gone from 1,500 to 2,500 in the last 5 years. And that's something which really is not okay in our community anymore.
It is, it's very saddening. And do you think that bullying has come more into the spotlight and over the years, and events like this need to open up that conversation?
Yes, I think it's come into the spotlight in bits and pieces. For example, when incidents happen like someone's suicide, opens the window for a small time, then it just goes and it's out of here. What we need to do is keep the window open long enough to actually make substantial difference. That's why we need events like Celebration Day. We need events that actually target it. We need people like Youthline, who is the beneficial charity. Ideally, the reason why we've got all this happening is because we actually need to do this and do it properly. Please not just go, oh, hey, there's a butterfly, let it in and then kill it. You've actually got to let the butterfly live a natural life and actually let it do its course.
Exactly. Well, thank you very much for coming in, James, and it's definitely a conversation we all need to continue to have. If you'd like to vote, visit surveymonkey.com. Just ahead, the weather for Wednesday and news on the Cambridge Expressway. Welcome back. The Cambridge section of the Waikato Expressway starts south of the existing Tamahere interchange and runs for 16 kilometres, ending around 2.5 kilometres south of Cambridge town, where it connects with the existing state highway. Anne-Marie spoke with Mayor of Waipa District, Jim Milcrest, who recently completed a flyover to find out how it's shaping up.
Oh, fantastic. It was a great opportunity. It was organised by the principal contractors, HEBS and New Zealand Transport Agency. And they're doing a film basically of the progress of the whole expressway project. So it was an opportunity as a spare seat in the helicopter, but they're making huge progress, flying the full length of it from the Karapiro end through with the major viaduct that they're constructing there, which is going to be pretty spectacular when they finish that. But most of the interchanges, the work's well underway, and yes, they're making really great progress. Last year they were pretty lucky, I suppose. Farmers didn't get any grass, but they got a good construction season, so that was great. And I suppose the contractors and NZTA have done a fantastic job in communicating to the people of Cambridge, telling them about changes in traffic movements, and that's meant that we've had very few complaints over that construction period.
On completion, traffic through Cambridge is expected to reduce by up to 10,000 vehicles a day, which is fantastic for congestion. But does that make the retail sector a little nervous?
No, it's not. It's yes, certainly that through traffic will be taken out of Cambridge, which will make it a lot more attractive and convenient place to shop. So the indications are that it's not going to have a major influence on the retail sector. It might dip a bit to start with, but there isn't a major concern. And I suppose the advantages that the expressway is going to bring to Cambridge and getting a lot more people there and a lot quicker between, say, Cambridge and Auckland is going to offset any of those issues, I would think, in a very short period of time.
What are other impacts do you believe the expressway is going to have on Cambridge, both positive and negative?
Oh, absolutely. The ease of getting, well, firstly to Hamilton, I suppose, but then to Auckland. And we're already getting a number of people moving into the town from Auckland, either retiring, selling up, and because it's making it so much of an easier trip. So I think we'll actually continue to gain in population because of the expressway. So yes, it'll just make it a more attractive community village type stop, I suppose. Tell
me a little bit about the Karapiro Viaduct Bridge, if you can. It looks very impressive on paper.
Yes, it's a huge construction. I think it's the largest one that they're doing certainly in close proximity to us. So yeah, it's amazing. They finished the piling now, and the concrete beams, cross beams are up. They're just waiting for the steel beams to come later this month, as I understand it, and then the deck will be able to be put on that viaduct.
It's fantastic. Now, of course, you had a bird's eye view of Cambridge during the flyover. There's quite a lot of growth happening, isn't there?
Yes, I suppose that's one of the the byproducts of the flight, but having a look at some of the major residential growth that's occurring in Cambridge, it's quite phenomenal. The St Kilda waterways and all of the growth on the northern side of the Greenbelt, and there are some phenomenal houses being built in that area. And it makes it a little bit hard to, I suppose, accept the population statistics that are saying that we're going to start losing people over the next 20, 30 years. And although Cambridge is growing to about 2040, to imagine that the population will start to decline after that is really hard to imagine, but we do need to take into account those projections. It's happening worldwide. So I suppose the next 20, 30 years is the time where we've got to do any upgrades that we need that growth to pay for it. But at the present time, the residential growth is phenomenal.
For up-to-date information on the Waikato Expressway progress, go to nzta.gov.nz/projects/Waikato-Expressway. The weather for Wednesday now. Now let's take a look at the marine forecast. That is Central News for today. Like us on Facebook, centralnews.tv, or email us news@tvcentral.co.nz if you'd like to get in contact with us. On tomorrow night's show, what does one eat when on the ice caps of Greenland? And does it get lonely? Are there any concerns about the new housing accord speeding up the consent process too much? Until then, I'm Hilary Entwistle. I hope you have a lovely evening.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.